Barry was involved in the original research of the canal back in the 90s. The research that produced the book about the Stamford Canal works. And Barry is the one who's responsible for getting the Stamford Canal listed as a historical engineering work.
Yes. Yeah. Also, as I say, when I get round to it, I mean, the locks at Deeping have never been listed.
No.
And I feel they should be.
This morning.
Oh,
Yes.
right. So that,
It's something I'm conscious of the fact that they aren't listed and should be.
yeah.
This is all part of the West Deeping lock. The trouble is, as I say, a lot of the stonework here has been rearranged, but the locks on the Stamford Canal were unusual in that what they're called turf-walled locks. The sort of standard canal lock is a sort of a rectangular stone or brick structure, one end to the other. Whereas on the Stamford Canal, they just had the sort of the masonry at either end, except for the Deeping High lock, because that was in a confined location. So what you've got that masonry over there looks like the lock wall in its original position. The masonry here has obviously been rearranged. But if you also you've got that angled bit there, and you've got a corresponding angled bit there. Now the so the upper lock gates would have been across here, but there would have been presumably some sort of timber posts set into the angled bit, because you'd need a circular rebate for the heel of the lock gate to turn in, where it wouldn't have done in the angle bit there. Yeah. But how that actually interacted with the gate itself is difficult to say. You've got here the grooves in the stonework, and the remains of the pins here that would have held an iron clamp that would have clamped the coin, the timber coin that took the heel post of the lock gate.
So which way were the gates opening?
The gates would be pointing upstream, and they would then open, rotate like that, and end up flush against this wall here. But protected from the boats, they'd be behind this stone here. So any boat moving in, hopefully wouldn't damage the gates.
Would there be something to hold the gate open, Barry, when it was open? What would keep it open?
I would imagine
The flow of water as it fills, isn't it?
well, the water will be coming up the way.
Yeah, you're right.
Trouble, you see.
Yeah.
Just a rope or chain. Yes. Yeah.
So would they be pulled open by the chains and then sort of hitched onto something to stop them closing?
I would imagine so. In all probability, there would have been some sort of minor sort of sluice or penstock within the gate itself.
Yes, to bleed the water
To
through.
yes, to release the water from the locked chamber.
Yes.
And then once the water made a level, you could then, there wouldn't be any water pressure keeping the gate closed. You would then haul the gate open, and the boats would then move in or out.
Oh, I see, yes, I understand, yes.
So how many lighters would have fitted into this length then?
They're quite large docks. Yes, 2 or 3 I'd imagine, because we have got a record of the dimensions of the lighters that were being used, and they I can't recall off the top of my head what it was, but they tend to be in sort of chains of 2 or 3. So that yes, you've got 2 or 3 small lighters, and they were small. But also, whereas with your conventional sort of 18th century lock, the lock walls, stone or brick lock walls, would have been continuous right the way up between these gates and the top gates.
So they'd have been very dependent on keeping the walls fairly clean.
Well, the problem here is that you've got your turf wall block or turf-sided block. You have sloping walls, so it was important to keep your barge or your lighters in the middle of the channel as the water level fell. Otherwise, if they got caught on the sides of the lock, they would then tip over.
Yes.
If you look here, you can see the rebate as it goes back, and then the slope would come up on that rebate as it turns the angle.
Yeah.
So what are all these bits of metal along the top here for? They would be for keeping the stones together?
Keeping the stones together, yes.
Right.
They're the standard clamps. There's like huge staples, stationary staples, set into lead. So they are. It's a fairly standard stonemason's technique of holding large stones together, especially where you've got differential earth pressure on either side, tending to move the stones about. There'd have been a pin there, and then you'd have had a collar, the iron collar round there, holding probably holding the gate heel post and the coin all against that angle. It's easier to see at the Deeping High Lock where the collar is still in place. This, we know that the canal was in operation throughout in, I think, 1674.
Yeah.
So it predates the canal age by 100 years. There is certainly the depends whether you regard the Exeter Canal as a real.
Not quite yet. Not the canal, no.
It was just a
Tidal loop.
yes,
That's the gate and
a dock entrance channel.
Yes.
Yes. So, but I mean, this we would maintain was Britain's first post-Roman canal, as opposed to river navigation. So this lock is one of the oldest extant locks in Britain, and it can be argued that the two locks at Deeping are in fact 20 years older, because the Deeping Gate Bridge has conveniently got the date 1651 carved on the pier. So it would make sense for them to have rebuilt the bridge at the same time as they were establishing the navigation through Deeping itself. So it may well be that those locks are 1650 or 1651, and therefore they would be the earliest lock remains that we know of in the country.
Right, I'm going to pace the length of the lock.
I'll have to go from up there.
I think in practice they would have had sort of wooden piles driven along, so you
keep off the banks, guide the boats.
Yes.
Oh, that would make sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But it was one of the hazards. I mean, also of course with the turf walled lock, the volume of water in the lock was much larger than it would have been with a vertical
Oh yes, if it was
lock.
contained, yes.
So
I made it 32 of my footstep.
Yeah, 25 metres.
Okay.
That sounds about right.
Ish.
Close to 66 feet or something.
I should have brought my surveyor's chain.
If it's straight across to where that lamp is standing up with the pool house on the left of it, it goes past that on the right hand side, past the tall fir tree, and actually is to the left of the big house across the other side of the road that we can just see the dormer windows.